Hi guys, welcome to an episode of Podcasa Bonita, a very special episode because it's another Q&A because we've been very busy people and have no other content lined up specifically right now. So, a Q&A!
And you are?
Oh, yeah, I do that sometimes too. I am one of your hosts, Shirley.
And I'm the other host, Rachel. We have about 30 questions for you, so strap in.
Yeah, 30 questions is a lot, and we're really excited about that. They have all been asked by 3 people who we love very, very dearly, and we really appreciate this huge amount of questions because we like hearing ourselves talk.
Do you want to get started with the first question?
No, I think we should get started with, like, the 12th.
Okay, let me count them. Hold on. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we can get started with Jack Lucas, who I think asked us like 10 or so.
Oh, hell yeah. Every single one of you guys who asked us a question, we get so excited when you guys comment. So, thank you, like a million times over. I'm sorry if you hear some barking in the background. I live in a madhouse.
Okay, are you ready?
Shut up!
Okay, it doesn't sound like you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Okay, question number 1. What do you imagine some of the adult characters like Sheila were like as children?
Oh, Sheila is 100% like a Kyle.
Yep.
I don't think quite as like morally opposed and outspoken as Kyle, but definitely like a quick to anger child. And I mean, she was asked about Titty Bang, so we got to remember that she like was a party Jersey girl. So I would assume Sheila was like the total like angry, I'll kick your ass kind of kid, but was extremely like faithful in her Jewish faith. So
yeah, I think she also was very much like angry and like political activists and whatever kind of like Kyle is. I mean, he's a little more chill, but
in comparison to his own mother, I have a feeling though, like she was a little bit more like rambunctious than Kyle was. Kyle's a little bit more responsible. I think Sheila was just a big ball of like anger.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just absolute angry, but partier.
And I remember in Clubhouses they showed, I think, that, like, Randy and Sharon got together because, like, they were dating ever since they were kids, like Stan and Wendy. So it's kind of a little bit interesting to kind of think of them as sort of like Stan and Wendy.
Oh, you know what? I totally think that those two were the kids that would play house together, but represent an all too realistic marriage. Not just like a, honey, I'm home, or I want to be the dog. Like, why do you get so fucking drunk, little 5-year-old Randy? Just like actual anger. It's just like, you've been hitting the chocolate milk again, haven't you, you asshole?
So Sharon's really been putting up with this her whole life.
Exactly. They're like the on and off couple, like their whole life.
Oh my gosh, how sad.
I think Randy was always kind of wild as well, because he had like that whole singing career thing.
Oh yeah, he was in a boy band, remember?
He was in a boy band, like a legit boy band. So, you know, gotta remember that. He's always probably been like heartthrob. The true mustache Casanova that we know today.
Oh, God.
Had to start from somewhere.
I'm trying to think.
Okay.
And I think Leanne probably was like super sweet, super pretty, always got attention from like all the guys and everything, but she never really had any friends because all the girls thought she was a whore, which she kind of was.
I would love for like Leanne to have had a totally happy childhood and be like so innocent until maybe like. I think it would be hilarious if she was one of those like super Christian, like reserved girls, and then they hit college and they start like snorting coke like it's water. You know,
you snort water?
Because Because, you know, when she talks, she still has that, like, warm and happy little voice, like a little, like, perfect housewife, but parties like nobody's business. So I think she could out-party Sheila. 100%.
Oh, yeah, especially nowadays.
She could out-party Sheila. She'd be, like, so... She was probably so sheltered as a kid, because now she, like, gives Cartman whatever he wants, but I bet she was probably, like, so sheltered, but was super pretty, like you said, always got attention from boys. I would want her to be happy, but at the same time, she made Cartman, so, you know, how good of a person can you really be?
Right. Okay, the next question from Jack Lucas is, what do you imagine Clyde and Heidi to be like as an adult? Which is kind of an interesting combo.
It is an interesting combo, but I really love Clyde. You know, Clyde, especially with him in, like, the list, everybody knows him as the crybaby. He's, like, in the game, he's super vulnerable to, like, raisins and everything, the raisins girls. So he's kind of... I have a feeling he would never be that guy to really, truly settle down. He would be that older guy at the bar and at the club who's just a little bit too old to really be at the club, you know? And he kind of hits on, like, younger girls.
Oh, God.
I kind of have a feeling he might be, like, financially successful enough to, like, always have... like, the youngest girl on his arm or something. I feel like he's always a lady-hungry gal, but, like, he wants to be pegged also because he's a big crybaby. He probably's got some fucked up kinks in there. I still like Clyde. I think he's hilarious, but I think it would be so funny if he just turned out to be that dude that never really settles down and always, you know, every time he's that dude that, like, gets way too excited at a wedding and can't really take it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Clyde would be popular with the ladies because he seems like he would grow up to be kind of like a sweet himbo type, and he's just, girls love that.
Oh my gosh, Clyde is the ultimate himbo.
Yes.
I bet he's probably not, like, exactly jock, like everybody pictures Stan to be. I think it'd probably be more of, like, a surfer kid, where, like, a Spicoli type character where he's kind of an airhead, but is all muscle. Like the wrestler or something. He's on the wrestling team or whatever.
Yeah, I think he does athletics of some kind. And you would think he's, like, a total asshole, but he's actually, for the most part, not.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's a womanizer. I don't think he's an asshole womanizer. He just never, like, settles down and just kind of dates around. And is just a really sensitive guy who genuinely wants to watch something like Sex and the City or Gossip Girl and cry with his significant other at the time.
What about Heidi? What do you think she'll be up to?
Heidi's interesting because we don't see a whole lot of Heidi Turner until, like, later. You know, she's kind of a new character. So, I don't know. It's weird with her. I know she's super take charge, which I always appreciate. She's very, like, environmentally conscious, too. So, I mean, just by her, like, veganism and everything, just for that reason. You know, I think she'd be somebody similar to, like, a Wendy type, maybe not quite as extreme. Wendy tends to take a little bit more charge in a relationship than Heidi did with, like, Cartman. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird to think about. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to pigeonhole her because as soon as she wasn't part of Cartman's storyline, she kind of went away again. But I would like to think that she kind of learned her lesson from Cartman and kind of grows up to be a semi-normal person and goes back to being a nice girl.
And she was a theater kid because she's very dramatic. She likes to do, like, all the singing and everything with Cartman, but, like, before she even started dating Cartman, she did, like, the whole phone suicide thing. She deleted her Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think she's probably super dramatic, but, not necessarily in a bad thing. It's just so theatrical. So I bet she's probably a theater kid in high school. We haven't learned too much about her, really. So I don't know what kind of career she would quite be in or anything, but I think she'd be just a relatively normal adult.
Yeah, I mostly agree.
Wow, am I boring you already, Rachel?
Yeah, sorry. We still have 29 questions to read, though. Ooh.
Let's go.
Okay,
do it.
The next one is, what characters would you want to see interact with each other and why?
Oh my gosh. Ooh. That's a good one. I want some, more secondary characters to interact with each other, exclusive to, just secondary characters. I'd love to have one where we don't see any, Randy, any Cartman, Kyle, but maybe not a Pip episode, something that's not Pip.
Well, they've kind of been doing it recently with the last season. They had the Scott Tenorman episode. They
did have the Scott Tenorman episode, but they did still have the other boys still in it. I would love to have one exclusive. And, they had the women's one, but again, that still had the boys, reappear in it. I think it'd be really cool if we just had an episode focusing, it'd be really cool if they did. The Simpsons had an episode where it was 23 short stories about Springfield, and each 23 of the characters had tiny little segments, and they each wrapped up into one weird storyline at the end somehow. I think that'd be really cool. A South Park kind of thing, where all these obscure characters, we could see Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh, the day in the life of Mr. Hanky, outside of Christmas time, and just a bunch of random things. I know that's quite not two characters interacting, but, I'd love to see some more secondary characters kind of be spotlit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely see that. For me, I think the characters I would like to see interact are, the Marsh family, which is interesting because I know we've seen a lot of them, but most of it is just, Sharon and Randy fighting, and then Shelley and Stan, reacting to Randy being an asshole. It's all, it's all them, and their relationship with Randy, but it's never, Sharon and Stan, or, Shelley and Stan, and I would really love to explore that, especially because that family in particular has come so far. They've moved out. They have been putting up with Randy so much to the fact that so much of their storylines are just about him and how they feel about him. And I would love to maybe have more of an episode with Shelley and Stan. I think that could be really cute, especially because they're growing up, and if you have a common enemy growing up, you kind of start to like each other more. So I would love to see that.
Oh yeah, that makes me think I would love to see more sibling related episodes apart from just Stan and Kyle and Ike. Even though I love the Kyle and Ike dynamic, we've seen that a good bit. We kind of know Kyle is very protective over Ike, and Ike is a little bit more rebellious and kind of does what he wants to do. Smarter than a lot of people let on. But I'd love to see, I know her name isn't Ruby, her name is Tricia, but we don't her. We call her Ruby. I would love to see, Ruby Tucker and, Craig Tucker, because I don't even think they've been in, a same scene except for once in the day. I'd love to see some sibling interaction. Of course, we have Kenny and Karen. There's that sibling interaction. So I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that they could all do with, the sibling interactions.
Oh, I also want Stan to hang out with Big Gay Al again.
Oh my gosh, right? I would love more goth kids to interact with just people.
Yeah.
I love the goth kids.
Mm-hmm.
Love the goth kids so much. That's a good one.
Great question.
It'd be really cool also to see a future episode, them in the future, and then also a past episode because we've seen it a couple times. We saw preschool where where the boys were preschoolers, but I'd love to see pre kids South Park.
Even before that, when they're like embryos.
Yeah, basically. Oh my gosh, you want to move on?
Yeah. The next question from Jack is, who would you want to see playable in a future South Park game? So, like, who do you want to be playable that isn't already?
Well, so in the DLC for the Fractured Butthole, you can play as Henrietta, and she's really fucking cool. That's awesome. Getting to play as her and use her in the regular storyline, I love. But also, I'd love to play as other goth kids, and I would love to play as Big Gay Al.
Oh, yeah.
Because you kind of had, like, you have a Mr. Slave summon, I think, in the first game. I think in the very first game you can summon Mr. Slave. But you can't, like, play as Mr. Slave or Big Gay Al. I think Big Gay Al would be, like, the best to create, combat for.
I have no opinion because I don't really play the games.
Well, which character do you think would have, like, awesome combat?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who is already, like, who is already playable, who's not. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Name a character and I can tell you if I've played this with them before.
Mr. Hanky.
Mr. Hanky, you can use a summon.
Okay. What about Mr. Garrison?
What?
What about Mr. Garrison? Yeah, I'll say that one then. Because say what you want about him, he's got a lot of potential, I think.
He's got the nuclear gun. I would love to see an episode of Mr. Garrison getting kicked out of the White House.
I'm fascinated to find out what they're going to do with him next season. Not to go on a tangent, but...
Yeah, not to go on an extremely excited tangent or anything like that. Alright, I think we're good. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, have you ever done SP and Me, and if so, what were your results?
I did SP and Me a while back, and I want to say I had a good portion of Butters in there. Oh my gosh, I was so many obscure characters.
Me too.
I'd have to take it again to really find out, because I was thinking it was just going to be like a BuzzFeed quiz where they would have, just like the main characters, but no, they had like obscure-ass characters up in there. I had a really weird percentage.
Yeah, I remember I took it, I think, when it first came out, and I had like a bunch of like small percentages of obscure characters like you, but I think the character I was most like 40% was tokens. I was like, oh, okay. I'm 40% black now.
I had a lot of Butters. I think a very tiny amount was like Mr. Garrison or something.
Oh, God.
Oh, I know. I was like, oh, that's homophobic, man. Dude. Yeah, it was a really weird percentage. I'd have to kind of take it again to remember what it was, because it came out a while ago.
Yeah, I do remember it being mostly token, but I don't have like the exact percentages on me. I did think it was like a cool quiz, kind of a cool idea.
Oh, and I love that it had more than just like the top 5 characters. I liked that you could have like a lot of obscure characters in
That's
there.
funny, because I remember when it came out, a bunch of I think it was more like casual South Park fans on Twitter were kind of like bummed about that. They're like, I wanted to see like which main character I was like not like this one character that I've never seen before.
Fucking BuzzFeed quiz. Like, you'll be able to find.
Okay, are you ready for the next question? This next question is like our bread and butter of these Q&As.
What was that?
This next question is like our bread and butter of these Q&As, because we've answered this type of question a bunch of times.
Yes, do it again. I'm ready to repeat myself.
Okay, how do you think Wendy and Cartman would react to fan art and fan fiction of them?
Oh, I think both would be repulsed. Absolutely, but in different ways.
Yes.
Like, I think Cartman would be angry, like, Wendy would be angry at the fact that she was shipped with Cartman. Cartman would be like, oh my god, I didn't even fucking get my 6-pack in there. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Wendy would be, like, horrified because it's Cartman. But I also feel like Cartman would be a little bit horrified because it's Wendy, because he's like, I don't want to be with that fucking hippie. Like...
she's a hippie feminist bitch.
Yeah, literally. Oh my god.
like critiquing the art itself.
That would be funny. Alright, yeah, I mean, we answer that type of question all the time, but that one's sort of a more simple one. Wendy and Cartman they both hate each other for good reason on Wendy's side. But
oh, yeah.
Alright, are you ready to go on? I think the next question's a good one.
Yes, let's go.
How do you think Karen would react if she found out Kenny was Mysterion?
You know, I actually I don't want Karen to ever find out. I think maybe part of her kind of knows already. And I think if she probably would find clues, but she would, like, keep it quiet between them.
I was just gonna say, because, like, I don't really have any factual evidence for this, but, like, my personal headcanon, I like to think she already knows, and she's just pretending kind of for Kenny's sake. So they're both a little bit, like, pretending for each other, and I think that's sweet.
Exactly, and I think even if they did have a moment where both of them, like, realize the other one knows, I think they wouldn't say anything about it. Just
right.
To kind of, like,
it's, yeah. Because for me, it's like, they already know. Karen already knows that her brother Kenny cares about her. She doesn't need to, I mean, why would him being Mysterion, who also cares about her, be such a shock? Like, it's not a big deal, I wouldn't think.
Exactly. So I think they'd keep it super quiet. I think if she found, like, conclusive evidence or something, and he caught her catching him, they wouldn't say anything about it to each other to just kind of keep that magic going. It's like when a kid knows that Santa isn't real, you know, and they don't quite really want to believe that, so they'll just not talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Our next question kind of has to do with our tangent earlier. What do you think will happen to Mr. Garrison when/if Trump is no longer president?
Oh, God, that's so scary when it's like, if Trump is no longer president, like, ever, meaning that he would stay president forever.
To be fair, I think this question was asked, like, a while ago, so...
Oh, yeah, it totally was. We've had these questions stored up for a good minute. I would love to just see, honestly, Matt and Trey don't really have to do any writing. Like, Trump does all the writing for Mr. Garrison himself. All they have to do is fucking quote him, and there you go. There's an outrageous, scary character right there.
Mm-hmm. What I would love is something I think probably will never happen, because they need to, like, make fun of Trump. But I would just love it if, like, Mr. Garrison just, like, moved back in town and was, like, teaching again with no explanation. He just comes back.
That would be so funny. I would love... That'd be hilarious. What if he, like, tried to speak back into his regular life like it never happened?
Yeah, and they're like...
It's like, he just pushes the new teacher out of the way and is just always like, oh, what do you mean, kids? I'm back from my vacation. My 4-year vacation.
You're right.
And just, like, totally pretends like it didn't happen at all, and everybody's just like, okay, so we're not just going to talk about what had happened? That's hilarious. Like, he's like, I have no idea what you were talking about,
right.
children. I have been here this whole time.
It's like, I've been hiking in the woods with Mr. Hat for 4 years.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And then, like, trying to talk shit about the president or something.
Or, like, yeah, whoever's the... Yeah, definitely.
I think that'd be hilarious, but if they're trying to do, like, the actual Trump route, I don't know. Like, it's funny. It's actually scary that Mr. Garrison has a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy? I feel like I find Mr. Garrison, like, far more sympathetic than I do Trump, which is crazy because, like, didn't Garrison try to molest Cartman in one episode?
Pretty sure. Pretty sure.
I am fascinated to find out, like, whatever they end up doing, I will definitely be tuning in.
Oh, most definitely. They've got a lot of material. Mm-hmm. I mean, not everything that they could fit from 2020 fit in the pandemic special, so they've got lots of stuff to rip on.
Okay, are you ready for the next question?
Let's move on.
The next question's a really good one. And it is, what do you think Stan would do if he had a mustache like Randy's? I love our channel that we get questions like that.
So I'm assuming this is about the pandemic special, right?
Yeah, I would assume so, because I think in his regular adult life, Stan would never have a mustache. I feel like he would have stubble or a full beard, but no mustache.
No, you know what? I think the exact opposite. I think he'd want to be as far away from looking like his dad as possible, that he'd keep clean shaven the rest of his life.
I don't know. I just think Stan would look good with a beard, so I like to imagine him having one.
I mean, everybody tells him that, and he's just like, oh, I just don't like the upkeep, but in reality, in his head, he's just like, I hate looking like my father.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't think Stan would ever get a mustache, like, because he doesn't smoke weed, he wouldn't get, like, the pot mustache, but.
But then that makes me think, oh my gosh, if he did, he'd be like, who the fuck in my house poisoned me? Because literally, that's what would happen. He'd wake up, so he'd be just like, he would already know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would know. He would know what's happening and why people are having mustaches and everything. And he'd just kind of be like, wow, okay, somebody in my family literally fucking poisoned me.
He would be horrified looking at that on his face. Oh, God.
He'd probably have to, like, secretly, like, have Kyle help him or something, help find out who did it or how it happened. And it was probably just, like, some accident.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Cartman was probably involved somehow.
Oh, yeah. Like, Randy made edibles with it or something with his weed, and yeah, that'd be fucked up.
Okay, are you ready for Jack Lucas's last question?
Yep, last but certainly not least.
Alright, this one kind of ties back in to an earlier one. How would Stan react to Cartman and Wendy fan art?
Stan would also be mortified. I don't think there's a single person in South Park, especially amongst the kids, who would find that, like, endearing. Butters might be like, oh, well, that's just so sweet. Like, they're hugging, or something like that. Stan would be totally grossed out. He'd vomit, I think, immediately.
Yes. That would be like his new vomit thing.
He'd vomit. He'd be angry, but I think he also wouldn't have a way of fixing it either. He'd be like, I don't know, just tell them to stop. Like, just tell them to stop drawing or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he might have a little, like, crisis of himself, because I remember in that one episode where, like, Wendy had a crush on Cartman way back when. Maybe he gets a little jealous. I don't know. Maybe he's worried that the Craig and Tweek thing will happen to them. I mean, that definitely wouldn't, but I can see Stan why he might think that.
Basically.
Well, Jack, thank you for all those great questions. We loved answering them.
We're basically becoming a YouTube React channel, but, like, we're not the ones reacting. We just make up the reactions.
Okay, now we have 2 questions from Cheddarhead7. Are you ready?
Hell yeah, Cheddarhead. Let's get this started.
Okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but what minor characters do you wish got to appear more?
Oh, well, first of all, Kenny.
Yeah, I know. He's a minor character at this point.
Fucking minor character now. That's a good one. It's hard to think of some that haven't already had a spotlight episode before. And I'm not trying to be, like, biased, because I love the Goth Kids.
I was just going to say the Goth Kids. I'm like, the Goth Kids is my answer.
The Goth Kids. Yeah, I want another Goth Kids episode. I could watch, like, a whole season about the Goth Kids and enjoy it. I love them so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean,
I'd love to see more with Craig and Token.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
And their gang. Like, Craig, Token, Tweek, and Clyde, like, their group.
I would love to have maybe another Wendy-focused episode. I think the last one we had was The Hobbit.
Definitely. I'd love to have a Wendy-focused one where she's not always outraged by something that the boys do.
Yeah, I think I'd like a little bit more of a personal episode of a Wendy.
Yeah, I'd love to have a Wendy episode where she isn't just the angry feminist girl, even though I love angry feminists.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that I don't love that about her.
I love that. But I'd love just to have her, like, having to solve an issue that's not, like, something that makes her angry at the expense. Like, the boys don't cause her to be angry.
I would love to see an episode similarly to how she reacts to Stan in The List, where she's like Nancy Drewing a mystery or something.
Yeah, she's so much fun. Wendy is such a great character. There's never a time where I haven't enjoyed her on screen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, the other question from Cheddarhead7 is there a common fandom headcanon about any of the 4 boys that you don't like?
Ooh, that Kenny is heterosexual. Because Kenny in my brain is the most pansexual person ever. I don't know if that's like a super popular headcanon. There are a couple of them. I know there are a lot of popular headcanons that exclude the main boys. What do you think?
I'm trying to think of any that I like really don't like. All I can think of are ones that I'm really amused by. I guess I don't like people imagining Cartman all skinny when he grows up, just because I love fat Cartman.
Oh yeah. I do. I just remember one. I don't like the idea that Kyle is this like. Once he gets to high school, he's like this shy, nerdy kid. I definitely think he's probably like still like a nerd, but I still see him being like athletic and playing basketball. I don't think he'd be shy.
No, Kyle's such a Sheila, even.
Like Kyle, I think would still be kind of cool. I think people generally like Kyle around. I don't think he'd be like this really shy, quiet kid like he's sometimes portrayed, because he's always a foil for like the jock Stan archetype when they're teenagers, and I just don't ever see Kyle being like this shy, reserved, quiet person. He always speaks his mind.
Well, yeah, which is kind of funny, because another headcanon that I actually don't like, I just thought of, is when people headcanon Kenny as being very like loud and outspoken. Like, I see him a little bit more as reserved, even though he's kind of like, he's very adventurous and he has a dark sense of humor. I'm like, well, maybe he has like the hood on for a reason, and he doesn't like, he's just not like obnoxious and arrogant like I think a lot of people view him as.
I think he, as an adult, he keeps to himself. He's in his small circle.
I mean, he's definitely like hilarious and awesome like with his friends and family, but like, yeah, I never thought of him as like being outwardly crazy or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no. I definitely think he's a lot more quiet. So opposite of Kyle than how he's sometimes portrayed. Like, Kyle is not this meek, shy, soy boy little character.
No.
He is most definitely still like his outspoken, fun-loving dude.
Yeah,
so.
Kyle's still Kyle.
Kyle is still Kyle, no matter how old he gets. So, yeah, that's an awesome question. I loved that.
Yeah, thank you for both the questions, Cheddarhead. Do you want to go back, move on to Rocky Stone, who asked us like 20?
Yes, hell yes. Rocky Stone, I'm so excited, you guys. I get excited whenever any of you guys comment, but when we get questions, I always know they always make us think about stuff. You know, they're not just like a simple yes or no question. We always have to justify our answers, so I love that.
Yeah, okay, are you ready for Rocky Stone?
Let's do it.
Okay, do you or have you ever shipped Bunny at any point? No, I have not.
Butters and Kenny? Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah, I still do. They're like one of my favorite queer ships besides Tweek and Craig. So that's my sister's favorite South Park ship. That's her absolute favorite. Like, Going Native is her favorite episode ever.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about why you ship it and what you like about it?
So, what I like is, I think, you know, because we had Canon, Kenny is kind of like quiet and reserved. I think Butters kind of matches that. He's a very caring person, but he also does have his moments of anger, and I feel like that's something that Kenny could kind of control. I think there's such an innocence about Butters that's so funny when you think about how like sexually deviant Kenny is at such a young age. I think they're so different as characters that they almost complement each other.
Yeah, I can see that.
In a lot of ways. Where Stan and Kyle, a lot of people ship them together because they have a lot of similarities. wow, Kenny and Butters have a lot of things that are very different about them that are just kind of interesting. And of course, there's like a couple things where, like, that episode going native is just, you could kind of see, you could almost justify a ship out of it. Of course, that wasn't like the intention of the writers or whatever, but you could definitely say like, oh yeah, that's some like really cute shipping you got in there, Matt and Trey.
Okay, ready to go on to the next question?
Yeah, let's move on.
How do you think Butters would react if he ever found out that Kenny is immortal? Or if, like, Kenny told him about it?
Oh my gosh, well, that'd be kind of cool, since I do, like, ship Kenny and Butters, I guess. That'd be kind of sad, because it'd be like, oh, well, I guess we can never grow old together. Or, like, some sad shit like that.
Some sad gay shit.
Some sad gay shit. That would be my personal thing. But if it was, like, regular, if it was, like, you know, regular Butters, like that, I can't believe it's not Butters. I think it would be kind of, I think he would be the one kid to not immediately jump and be like, oh my gosh, you gotta tell everybody about this, or like, you know, badger him about it, or be like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, I feel like Butters would be the one person that would just still treat him like a regular person.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a really big gift, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I probably agree. I don't have any strong opinion on it.
I think he'd be like the one kid to not like get totally freaked out or try and take advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Superpower, I think he would just still treat Kenny like Kenny.
Okay, this next question is threatening to open up a whole thing of worms. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
What do you two ship in South Park, and what have you shipped in the past?
Like I said, I still like Bunny. You know, it's not my absolute favorite. Unpopular ship is my favorite is still Kyle and Bebe. I don't know why. I seriously don't know why. I think it's because of the headcanons that the fandom typically gives for Kyle and Bebe. They're kind of the archetypes that I tend to like to ship. Show-wise, there's not a whole lot of there. But fandom-wise, they've kind of morphed into... Kyle is still Kyle. But Bebe has been given, like, a character of her own, and her character is what I typically like to ship with a character like Kyle. So, I still love Kyle and Bebe. I like Steinman. Stan and Kyle. Or Stan and Kyle, not Steinman. Wow. Well, I was going to say, like, I don't like Kaiman because I get really uncomfortable with that. It just seems a little bit abusive-y and not consensual in a lot of ways. But style is cute. It's not something that I ship, like, really hard or whatever, but, you know, there's some good content revolving around it. Tweek and Craig, obviously. I liked it even before it was canon, but after it was canon, it only got better. You know? It only got cooler because we really actually got to see the two characters interact as couples.
Yeah, definitely, because I think also the fandom got so much more excited, and so there was more content.
Exactly. So that's those are the kind of main things. Stan and Wendy. I also, for a period of time, really liked the Stan, Wendy, and Kyle, all three together. Like the
Menage a trois.
Yeah, menage a trois kind of thing. I thought that was kind of cool. But, you know, I was never... The only kind of more, like, favorite ships of mine have been definitely Kyle and Bebe, or Kaibe, whatever you want to call it. Tweek and Craig, and then Kenny and Butters. Those have really been, like, the only ones that I, like, did content about or wrote stuff for. Everything else, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay. And then I don't like anything with minors. Like, older adults shipped with minors, I think that's really kind of gross and creepy. And Cartman doesn't deserve love, so he doesn't get it.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, growing up in the South Park fandom, I loved Stan and Kyle. Style was, like, my favorite ship. And I don't consider myself an active shipper anymore. I don't really care about it, but that's also, like, I still kind of simp for style a little bit. I love a ship anywhere where it's, like, two best friends, so I just love that dynamic.
That's why we're shipped together, right?
What?
That's why we're shipped together, right, Rachel?
I don't know if that's accurate, but
we're not a family.
I do casually like Tweek and Craig. But yeah, I'm not super into shipping, but those are the two that I like.
I'm not that into shipping much anymore. I don't think it's like age restricted of when you stop liking stuff like that. But I was never super into shipping in South Park specifically. I'm definitely more of just like a character-based kind of person.
Yeah, same.
A couple-based, but it was still good. I never had like too much of an issue in a fandom with it, but I'm sure it exists. I just didn't touch that shit with a 12-foot pole.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so our next question from Rocky Stone is, do you know if Matt and Trey are aware of any other fandom ships besides Creek? I believe they are, and I hate it. I hate it thoroughly.
I hate the fact that they probably know. Oh my god. What if they know about, like, the Nazi Cartman fan art?
Oh god. I would hope not, but... Ugh.
I would hope not, but I'm sure they probably saw it and got a little bit concerned.
Because I think in the Tweek x Craig commentary, they said that, like, it happens to them sometimes. Ever since the show started, where, like, someone will come up to them and, like, give them a piece of art of, like, the boys making out. And they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm like, who are these people who are coming up to Matt and Trey and giving them their yaoi fan art? I just want to talk. I just want to meet up and talk.
Are you kidding me? If I ever get to meet Matt and Trey, I am having them sign, like, my explicit fan art.
Oh my gosh, no.
Of which I have not drawn yet, but if I do get the opportunity to meet them, I will, just so they can sign it.
And no, it's gonna be like Stan and Kyle, and they like you draw it so it looks like them a lot.
Hey Matt and Trey, I actually drew you, and it's just them like making out.
It's just them making out at the end of a basketball.
It's just them in their basketball uniforms.
Yeah. That's they know about it. I wish they didn't, but they do.
Oh, 100%.
All right, next question. What is your opinion on the following ships? Style, Bunny, and Bendy.
Bendy. I'm assuming that's Butters and Wendy?
No, that's Bebe and Wendy, I think.
Oh, Bebe and Wendy. Oh,
which I'm all for that.
I'm all down for the lesbians. That's cool. Style, I think it's adorable, very solid ship. And then, what was the other one?
Bunny.
Oh, I love that too. That's my favorite Butters and Kenny ship. Like, I like those two with each other. Because, I think Bebe and Kenny is kind of like a cool, like, friendship, but not like a romantic interest ship.
What I think about the ships, I love Style, obviously. I love the idea of Bendy. I haven't explored it a lot in the fandom. And then Bunny, I can see why people like it, but I personally don't care for it. But yeah.
I think you'd probably like it if you read a couple really good fan fictions.
I think, I probably would have liked it better if I had, like, been into it when I was younger. Like, because I think most of the reason why I like Style is, like, nostalgia.
There's some, like, say what you will about the South Park fandom, but they've got some good fucking content. Like, there are so many talented people. I know this is such a tangent. I would love to do a South Park, like, Podcasa Bonita episode about the South Park Reanimated project.
Oh.
File where they reanimate the list. It hasn't been completed, but there are a good bunch of scenes that have been animated fully.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It probably wouldn't be like an interview type thing because there are like over 100 animators, I think, that have been involved in this. But, sorry, total tangent, but I would love to do maybe a podcast talking about that.
Yeah, look for that coming up.
So, yeah, to answer the question, I like Bunny. I like style, and I'm totally down for lesbian. So, cool. Checks all the boxes there.
Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on what sparked Cartman's personality change in season 20 in Universe? Was he really trying to better himself, and if so, why?
Ooh, I don't think he was actually trying to better himself. I think he was trying to gain something out of a better image. I don't think Cartman ever betters himself for the sake of being better. It's always to gain something.
Yeah, that was along my thinking, because this is like when they're in the throes of the Cartman-Heidi relationship. So I think he was trying. It's funny because I do think he genuinely was trying to be better, but he was doing it just to keep Heidi around. So you're right. Like, he wasn't doing it just to be better. It was always like so he get something out of it.
Exactly. So I think that's just the point of Cartman. Whenever he does something good, it's not for the sake of doing a good thing. It's for the sake of bettering himself. And bettering
that being said, though, I do think he was, like, at least, like, genuinely trying. Like, I don't think he was, like, faking the whole thing in season 20. I think he was, like...
Oh, no, I think it was totally genuine. I just think his underlying thing was just like...
his motivation was always Cartman-based.
It was never like, ooh, I need to be a better person for the sake of Heidi. It was, okay, I want to keep her around because I like what she does for me.
Yeah, so I gotta act a certain way. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Are there any ships you think should become canon?
Ooh.
This is an interestingly phrased question, because it's not what do you want to become canon, or it's what ships do you think should become canon?
Oof. Cartman and the electric chair.
I was just going to say Sharon, Randy, and divorce. It was like the opposite of this question. I think they should uncouple. Should be uncanon.
I think they should get a divorce.
I want that so bad for them. Mostly for Shelley and Stan, though.
And that's kind of interesting. I don't know if there's anything, like, it's really just uncoupling. I'm tired of seeing Randy make...
Yeah, I know. This isn't the question at all, but I would love to see more of Mr. Slave and Big Al. That's a couple I really like.
Yeah, I know. They're technically already, like, canon, but I want to see them interact like they are.
Yeah, I would love to see more of them. Trying to think.
Let me see. Who would be good? I guess in this situation, I'd only want to see something canon with them being, like, adults. The Tweek and Craig stuff is cute. Like, I think that stuff works. But if you have so much of, like, kid couples, it gets kind of weird, I guess, to be.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing I would want to see would be, like, future canon. Future couples.
What's funny is that when I read this question, I originally thought, like, like PC Principal and Strong Woman, but I'm like, oh wait, they're already together.
They're already together.
I forgot. I'm like, oh shit. What about that episode where Mr. Mackey met, like, female Mrs. Mackey? I guess they could be together.
It's so sad. He already lost his love with Miss Chokesong.
Oh, that's right. She got murdered.
She died. She quite literally choked on Dick. But I don't think there's anything. I just want, like, uncoupling.
I mean, I would be open in the future to Matt and Trey possibly exploring more characters interacting, and therefore more people becoming together if it suits the story. I think that could be cool.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have any specific characters I'm, like, dying for it to happen.
Yeah, and I like that Tweek and Craig's coupling, like, happened for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a story behind it. It wasn't just all of a sudden, like, oh, we're going to just make them couple for the sake of, like, they're used specifically for certain storylines. So, as long as it serves a purpose, I'm kind of open to anything.
I agree. Okay, another great question from Rocky Stone. Who is your favorite dad and mom in South Park?
Oh, we can already know our least favorite.
I know, but they didn't ask that because they know. We talk about it literally all the time.
I know we shit on Sheila so much, but I like her as a character. And I do genuinely I think she goes about things the wrong way, but I know she wants what's best for her sons. She wants what's best, and I can admire that as somebody who is not a parent, but has a parent, who has been a child of somebody before. I also think that Sharon is she really does hold a lot together. I think she enables Randy a little bit too much for the sake of her own children, but I think she's a really good mom to Stan. I think there is a very strong relationship with them. Like, when you see them interact, you can tell there's, like, a genuine connection there. As for dads, there's kind of not a good one. Like, there's not a single good father. Actually, you know what? PC Principal.
Oh, yeah.
For strong women are actually, like, really wonderful parents with all they've had to do. They're good parents. They're, like, the only parents in the whole entire town that, like, are okay to their children.
Yeah, I think my favorite mom is definitely Sharon. I agree. I think she's the best mom in South Park by a mile. Favorite dad?
Sheila's the most interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think, right.
Sheila's not the best caregiver and not the best parent, but I think she's the best character of the moms and the fathers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Honestly, just PC Principal's the only one that's, like, worth a damn. Everybody else sucks so hard.
It's funny, because when I first was thinking of the dad, I thought, like, oh, like, Chef and, like, Big Gay Al. Because, like, they weren't our parents technically, but they're, like, they fill a lot of, they fill a lot of the mentor role for the kids, which I love. But I guess with technical fathers, I guess maybe I would say Craig's dad. I really liked his whole arc in the Tweek and Craig episode, and I like how he, like, goes out of his way in the game to, like, collect the fan art, and he's, like, trying to be supportive of his kid. I think that's sweet.
That is true. That is very true. He does have that nice redeeming moment in that episode.
Yeah, because, I mean, Craig's dad, I think, has his issues, and he had to start from a less than desirable place, but, like, he at least seems like he's trying, which is, like, better than most of the other dads.
Exactly. Oh, so, you ready to move on to the next question?
Yes. The next question is part of it we kind of know already, but I'll read the whole thing anyway. What do you think will happen in season 24? Do you think it will be delayed or air as usual? Do you think Matt and Trey will do a season 23 commentary? No, they will not. They're too lazy.
They probably will not. Which bums me out, because one of my favorite things about the end of each season was, like, I can't wait to hear what
I love the commentaries. I look forward to them every year.
Fucking love the long-ass commentaries.
Which is funny, because I know they hate doing it.
I love the little short commentaries. Like, they're some of my favorite parts about the ending of each season.
Yeah, but definitely I don't think we'll get one. I think Matt and Trey are going to use the pandemic as an excuse to be lazy and not do it. And as for the other part of the question, we kind of already know. We had a pandemic special. I know some people are, like, hell-bent on thinking, like, we're going to get another episode. I'm like, I don't think so, but, you know, whatever you want to believe.
I think especially where they record, you know, it's in LA.
Yeah.
So if everything's done in-house in a smaller studio. So I just don't typically, and, you know, the pandemic special, they had to do a lot. That's an expensive thing to produce. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect anything to kind of happen. Maybe we'll get a couple smaller projects here and there, but I do definitely think there's going to be a delay. As for content, I think it'll probably pick up somewhere where the pandemic special left off. You know, of course, like, you can't avoid the stuff about the election, so that'll probably give them enough content for, like, I don't know, the half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Next one's a good one. Are there any widespread headcanons that you love? If so, what are they?
Oh, there are a lot of headcanons that I really love. Like I said, like, I love how the fandom is kind of built Bebe. And I really like how the fandom builds characters for the female characters, because we don't get a whole lot of personality in a lot of the female characters, especially in the girls. So I love the idea that Bebe is like, you know, the super pretty, heavier set. She's like a little bit chubbier. I love that as somebody who is chubbier. Like, I love the idea of a really hot girl who just also happens to be fat. That's really cool. I love the headcanon about Stan kind of being a little bit of a jock. I think that's really cute.
Yes, I like the South Park classics. I like Stan being a jock. I like all the kids going to a party that's always at Token's house. I love that shit. I love every trope in like the old-fashioned South Park high school AU. Like,
I love that. You know, they're usually with like the high school tropes and everything. I like that every character kind of has its own purpose. You know, there are a lot of, you know, headcanons. Like, the fandom kind of built a lot of things that are canon now. Like, just look at Tweek, for example. Like, that was all fandom made. So, you know, there are a lot of headcanons. I'd say the majority of them I really like. You know, there's a good majority of headcanons that I really, really enjoy from the fandom.
Yeah, I would say most of them I either like or I'm kind of neutral on. I don't know if I really have any that, like, I hate. Besides what we talked about earlier, but...
Exactly.
It's more like I'd get annoyed when I feel people, like, misinterpret characters that I like, but, I mean, that's in any fandom.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Yep.
Oh, let's move on.
Okay, were you expecting Tegridy Farms to take over a lot of season 23? When it happened, were you surprised or not surprised at all? I was disappointed but not surprised.
I was literally just about to say disappointed but not surprised. It wasn't a shocker, but I wish it didn't happen.
I was pleasantly surprised when the latter half of season 23, like, pulled back on that. I was happy, like, they focused on other characters. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, season 23 had a couple of standalone.
It feels so long ago, season 23.
I know, it really was. It was over a year ago almost at this point. So, you know, it's, again, I was very pleasantly surprised when they backed off a little bit, because usually they just go further into it. That's usually the case, where they just spin out of control and get way worse in the season and not better. But they kind of did get better in season 23. But I was not surprised at all that Tegridy Farms and Randy were still the main focus.
No, not at all.
Pandemic special. Was not surprised at all.
Yeah. Okay, the next question's a really good one. Rocky Stone asked, were there any episodes you hated when you first saw them, but warmed up to upon rewatch, or vice versa?
Oh, definitely vice versa. I used to immediately just be like, you know, that centrist fence sitter that added nothing to the conversation, but was just like, oh, both sides are bad. Okay, I did my civil duty. I can just say both sides are bad so nobody can criticize me. So I used to love Douche and Turd. I used to think I still think it has very valuable jokes, but commentary-wise, I was like, wow, that's like a really lazy and damaging message. So I don't look at it as fondly as I used to. And then the episode that I love more and more is actually probably, like, Not Without My Anus.
I've always universally loved that one.
Terrence and Phillip, Not Without My Anus, I kind of thought it was weird the first time I watched it. I never disliked it, but now I think it's absolutely hilarious every time I watch it.
You know what's fascinating is that I also am going to say Douche and Turd, but kind of in the other way. Because I used to love it, and then I was really, really critical of it, and now I'm kind of warming up to it again. Because, I mean, it is a hilarious episode, and I definitely still think that there's some value in the criticisms it has. But I don't know, maybe this recent election where, like, we really kind of did have a Douche and a Turd Where, like, it's like it's like there's a douche and then there's a turd sandwich, but the turd sandwich has poison in it. So it's like, obviously you picked the douche, but, like, you're not happy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, I definitely... Yeah, I agree that some of the... Yeah, it is kind of... Some parts of it were lazy, but I'm like, I don't know. I kind of sympathize a little bit more with it, where I'm like, okay, I kind of see what they're talking about. Not that I agree with, like, voting doesn't matter, but, like, I don't know. I definitely agree with, like, expressing frustration over... Yeah, over feeling like maybe your vote isn't as important, or, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. See, there are a couple episodes that I kind of look back, and there are some that I'll watch and be like, oh my god, that's hilarious the very first time I watch it, and then I kind of go back, I'm like, there's not a lot of rewatch value in some of the, like, later episodes.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd say Douche and Turd is probably one where I don't hate it. Like, even the slightest. I do not hate it. I still find a lot of value in a lot of the jokes. But commentary-wise, to me, it's a little bit of a lazy message and just, like, a true centrist message that it's like, yeah, of course, both sides kind of fucking suck. We split each other, like, right down the middle where nobody can really compromise truly. So, of course, it's gonna suck dick, but making it seem like, you know, that it's totally unimportant kind of, like, still rubs me the wrong way the older I've gotten.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I still don't hate the episode at all.
Okay, next question is, what do you think Craig, Tweek, Clyde, Token, Jimmy, and Butters would be doing during quarantine?
Ooh, so that little group, Butters is probably living his best life, playing imagination.
Because we kind of saw his version a little bit in the pandemic special. He's not doing great.
He's not doing... I think early on, probably was doing fine. I feel like they all had similar reactions to a lot of us did. We're like, oh, cool, you got like 2 weeks off of school, that's great. And then it's 9 months later, it's like, okay, this isn't fun anymore, I want it to stop.
I'm looking at the... I don't know, I think Jimmy would definitely be working on lots of stand-up. He has a lot of COVID-themed stand-up that's all very bad.
Oh, very much so. Token's probably been okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of entertainment in that big-ass mansion of his.
You know, I bet he's struggling a lot with people saying, like, oh, they're discriminating against me. They're violating the civil rights bill by when they... Oh,
yeah. And it's kind of tough because I know...
not wearing a mask.
Yeah, and it's tough because I know there's questions about quarantine, but we did have the whole, like, George Floyd protests happening around the same time. So I'm sure that Token would, you know, have a big opinion about that.
Oh, I agree.
I think Craig would probably be doing better than most. I feel like Craig is very similar to me, where it's like he kind of didn't go out. He's more of an introvert. He didn't really go out all that much before. So his life is kind of the same. He just hangs out at home. He hangs out with his guinea pig. He does, like, stuff on the computer. He Skypes with his boyfriend.
Yeah, I think Craig probably has to do a lot of damage control for Tweek.
Oh, yeah.
I think Tweek is, like, really losing his shit, so Craig has kind of had to be the therapist this whole time.
Yeah, I definitely think Tweek's a little more nervous. That's just how he's built. But, yeah. I'm sure the daily Skypes with Craig help a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he's also probably been working a lot at his family's coffee shop that refuses to close, so that's probably not great.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's very, like, hypochondriac, too, where he's just like, I have a symptom, I swear I got it, make sure you get tested by babe. It's like, we haven't seen each other in person in months. It's like, I know, but, like, it could be a computer virus.
That's me. What do you think Clyde would be doing?
Probably just be lazy as hell.
I think he would be playing video games and jerking it.
Probably.
And loving it,
He's probably one of those kids who, like, hisses when he sees the sunlight.
No, that's Gerald.
That is Gerald.
Literally.
Oh, love that.
Okay, next question. During season 6, did you prefer Butters or Tweek as the 4th member? If it happened again, which character would you like to see fill the role? I liked Tweek better.
Controversial. I actually liked Butters filling it a little bit more. Just because I think those episodes really, really, truly developed Butters as the character we know today.
I just love Tweek, and anytime he gets any screen time, I love it. But also, I'm a little bit salty at Butters for, like, because he's the whole reason that Kenny got killed off in season 5, so... So I'm like, I could never truly accept him as part of the gang.
Oh, I kind of like Butters more because I feel like that span is really where Butters came to be the character that we know. Tweek still had some growing to do. Tweek kind of stayed consistent. Mm-hmm. When he got it, Tweek kind of didn't change a whole lot. Butters really started to grow. He started as one little small archetype and grew into, like, a character of his own.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but I don't know, because you can tell around that time, because this is, like, also, like, the Butters show episode or whatever, and it really is, like, becoming, like, Matt and Trey think Butters is hilarious, and you can, like, really tell, because it's, like, every episode's about him, but, like, I don't know.
I never hated Tweek as the next character. Like, I thought the whole Hammer Time scene in the episode where Mr. Chokes on Dick dies is always really funny. Yeah,
I love Tweek. I also love him in Free Hat, where he has to make all the hats. And also he's gay, so he's. I love that.
Oh, you're trying to tell me that Butters isn't queer either?
Butters is a heterosexual incel. He's an incel.
There is not a straight person of value in South Park.
Well, that's true. It's true anywhere. Just kidding.
We're getting controversial now.
Okay, let's go on to the next question before we get canceled by the straight people. Okay, what was your opinion when you first discovered the Kenny and Butters ship? Did you think it made sense, or did you find it random or confusing?
I never found it, like, I didn't instantly be like, oh my god, that's, like, the perfect ship, but, like, it never took me off guard or whatever. The thing is, after being in fandoms for so long and being exposed to these kind of things for so long, no ship ever surprises me anymore. Like, I'm not surprised at all by anything anymore. You could ship Mr. Hanky and Towley, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes total sense. I'm getting the fan cam of
People probably have.
So, I was never really, like, surprised, but it didn't click initially, like, oh my god, it makes so much sense, but I was like, oh yeah, that's totally plausible. And then I saw the Going Native episode, I was like, oh yeah, this is probably where it started.
Yeah, I guess my first impression of the ship is kind of the same as how I feel now about it. It's just, I'm like, I kind of get what people like about it, but I just don't spend a lot of time being into it.
It's valid, but it definitely isn't there's no ship that surprises me anymore at all.
Are you ready to go on to the second to last question?
All right. Oh my gosh, we're almost done with all these beautiful, wonderful questions.
I know. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, what are your opinion on the following ships? Token and Clyde, Greg and Christophe, Timmy and Jimmy, Firkle and Ike, and Tricia and Karen.
Every single one of those, I'm just, again, not surprised by a single one. I'm just like, where do you get the content to justify it?
I know, right?
Like, where do you get the content to justify it? They're kind of those that I'm like, they are such obscure characters that haven't had a whole lot of screen time, and they're all young. Mm-hmm. They're all very young characters, so I'm kind of just like, I don't really have an opinion on any of them.
Yeah, they are kind of rare pairs. I'm kind of neutral on most of them. I have a little bit of an experience with the Greg and Christophe ship, because I'm very familiar with two, like, because I love the idea that people watch the movie and saw these two characters that, like, never interacted, but they're like, we're gonna ship them together.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't really know or care much about either of these.
It's mostly apathy.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready to go on to the next question?
I think this is the last one,
right? It is, and it's a good one.
Ooh, let's finish it off strong.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Are you sure?
I don't know, am I?
I don't know. Okay. Who were your favorite South Park characters when you first got into the show, and have your favorite characters changed since then?
Ooh, my favorite from the beginning has always been Kyle. In a way, I've always kind of related to Kyle in a lot of ways, and he still stayed my absolute favorite. He has still remained my number one favorite of all the characters. But there are some characters that I didn't care too much about that I've started to love a lot more. But I wouldn't consider them my favorites, like Craig. I love Craig so much. I didn't really have much of an opinion on him back in the day. But the more I've watched the show, the more I catch, like, his little nuances, even before, like, the Tweek and Craig stuff. The more I really, really loved a lot of his smaller things. But I still wouldn't consider him my favorite character. Kyle has stayed consistently my favorite.
Yeah, I'm thinking back, and I think back then Stan and Kyle were my favorites. I don't think I liked one more than the other, but now it's obviously Stan. But I still love Kyle. I love Kenny. I love, like, Tweek and Craig. I love so many of the characters more than I did. I don't know if it's really any that I hate more than I did, besides, like, Randy. But
yeah, I know. Randy I got really, really tired of really quickly. And there aren't really... Butters, I still love Butters as a character, but I think his more recent depictions haven't been my absolute favorite, if I'm being honest. His more recent depictions aren't the best version of Butters. But I still love his character.
Yeah, well, that's all of our questions.
Dang, we truly did that.
I know. You guys, I accumulated all of these questions from the comment sections of a bunch of different videos that we've uploaded, so thank you to the people who asked them. We had a good time, and keep typing those comments.
Seriously, you guys are so good at coming up with stuff.
And I know that this Q&A was asked about. Someone was very eager for this to come out, so I'm excited to upload it soon.
Exactly, and it's something that we were actually prepared to do. So, yeah, we're hoping for more content to come out soon. Life's been a little bit crazy with holiday kind of coming up. I'm a very busy person, so all that fun shit. Working all the time, but you know what? Everybody stay safe. Wear your fucking mask in public, and keep sending in more questions. Because these are like some of my favorite things to do on this channel. Is definitely the Q&A.
Yeah, same. We had a good time hanging out with you guys. See you next video.
If there's anything that we talked about in this video or any other video that you'd want us to maybe make a dedicated video on, let us know.
Yeah, definitely let us know what you think. All right, bye guys.
Thank you guys. Bye.